welcome to my channel. How are you doing? For this session, we are going to be focusing on generosity of spirit. And this is something that I've wanted to create for a while. So let's go ahead and get started by lighting our candle and setting our intention. Gonna switch up the order of things a little bit today. And then I'm going to begin doing a little bit of clearing with some sage. You might hear a little fly flying around the room, but he just really wanted to hang out today with you. So try to be generous with our space with this fly for today. Okay, so we are going to light this candle to use the flame to set and seal our intention for this session. This is a black pine and oak moss candle. It does with fragrant notes of peppermint, vanilla, and pine. And for me, it really smells like vanilla and I guess a very fragrant pine. Just has a very perfumey kind of smell, but it's a rich smell and I think it's quite nice. Anyway, just to help you feel like you're in the room here. But when it's lit, it just has a very fragrant, almost kind of, I guess just sort of a perfumey smell. Not too strong, it's pretty subtle, but a few of you have asked me if it's a cat when you see it in the background, because this little crest, I guess, looks like a cat's face with the little ears. Cute. All right, so on behalf of your highest, wisest, most empowered and aligned self, in loving comfort and perfect balance, I wish to conduct this Reiki session for inviting generosity of spirit. This is going to be a chakra balancing, and we're going to do some aura cleansing, all with the intention of creating space for generosity. So if you'd like to clarify that intention based on what you're moving through, feel free to use the flame to do so now. And as long as it's in service of your and everyone else's wisest selves, I will honor that intention and see it through time and space to where and whenever you happen to be receiving this. Just went out and then came back on. So I'm going to take a little bit of sage. And I'm going to light it off of our candle. So in doing so, we will preserve the intention that we have set and then clear anything that's not serving that intention. Just need to kind of retie this bundle here. Kind of tricky to do when it's not leaning on something, but there we go. Okay. Takes a minute to get the flame going here, and then we'll blow that out and use the smoke. Okay, so do your best to arrive right here, right now, in this present moment, and we will clear anything that's not serving that intention, clearing the energy, inviting in a sense of clarity, presence, a commitment to this moment right here, as opposed to the future or the past, projecting or reliving. Right here, right now, just you, just me. So this session, I wanted to open up for the question, what is generosity? What does generosity look like for you? What does generosity look like in your life, in your experience? This is really a sister session to our video about people pleasing, actually. That session was all about the only way that we can foster deep connection with others is by honoring ourselves, and ultimately that comes down to bringing awareness into our experience, bringing awareness into our mental, emotional, physical planes, and inviting presence. Inviting presence. We really can't foster deep, meaningful connections with others unless we have a deep connection with ourselves, unless we honor ourselves. Because to be connected is to share vulnerability. And if you don't know yourself, if you are disconnected from your experience, how can you share of yourself? So generosity of spirit here is going to be about sharing of ourselves, our time, our ears, sharing of our hearts, our minds, an openness without an attachment to reciprocity, without expectation. So sharing for the sake of sharing for the sake of connection, rather than sharing for the sake of, as with people pleasing, sharing for the sake of validation, receiving the approval of someone else, respect, having someone like you, being included. There are a million reasons why we do the things that we do. But generosity, and the kind of generosity we are going to practice, hopefully from this session onward, or invite into our practice, is all about sharing for the sake of sharing. Generosity of spirit, inviting in kindness, patience, presence, just for the sake of those things. And ultimately, it feels good to be kind. It really does. So I suppose you could say it is selfish to be generous because it feels good. It does. It feels good to be generous, to listen with an open heart, to be kind, to assume the best in people, while still honoring our own wants and needs and experience. Being vulnerable, sharing of ourselves. Okay. So I'm now taking this incense. This is a cedarwood incense. And I'm going to draw the sacred Reiki symbols outside of your heart center. Activating this beautiful Reiki healing energy. Okay. All I ask is just that you melt into whatever is holding you up. Just melt into the present moment. Whatever is holding you up beneath you, supporting you. Allow that connection with the earth to be a reminder that you are grounded, you are present, you are balanced. Okay. So much like when we did our sessions on moving from love, I just want to open this up to you. What might it look like? What might it feel like? What might be different for you? If you invited generosity of spirit into your life. When I think of generosity of spirit, I think of listening, holding space rather than trying to fix a problem, just listening. This sense of empathy, feeling with someone. I know that. Maybe I haven't lived, I haven't lived it. It's impossible to live it. But I hear you, and I'm here. I hear you. I believe you. I believe you. How powerful and important is that? I hear you and I believe you. I believe your story. I believe your experience. I see you. I'm here. It's not so much, in this session at least, what can I do for you? How can I help this? How can I make this better? How can I fix this? For this session, this generosity of spirit is really about generosity in terms of energy, being generous with our energy. I can and I will sit with you. I will hold your hand. And I think this is a really important thing because so much of what we do here in these sessions is about really healing ourselves and connecting with ourselves and inviting in a sense of generosity with ourselves. Self-love, care, kindness, all of that. And that's so important. And I don't think we can arrive in a place where we are able to be grounded enough and present enough to invite a sense of generosity if we are not honoring ourselves, if we haven't gone through the work of healing ourselves, inviting more capacity for compassion within ourselves, for ourselves, a gentleness within, a tenderness when it comes to ourselves and our experiences, and a deep, beautiful connection with the self. So, I think this journey really allows us to invite generosity of spirit. It allows us to be more present, to really be with each other, It allows for deeper connections with each other when we are stepping into the fullness of self. Then so many doors open, so many channels open up for us to foster these really beautiful connections with others. And it makes it available for us to call on generosity or practice generosity, because I don't think that these are things that define us. I think these are things we can practice and that all of us are able to practice and bring in and invite in. But it takes work, right? And the interesting thing is that from the outside, so many of these things, people pleasing, from the outside might look very similar to this generosity of spirit from the outside. But when you really go inside, and we've all been with someone who has that generosity of spirit, and there's just a kind of light, right? And we've all been with people pleasers. Maybe we've been people pleasers. Maybe we've been really generous of spirit. But we all know that feeling when you're talking to a people pleaser and you kind of feel like there's no ground beneath your feet. It's because there's no ground beneath theirs, and they don't have a way of communicating if it's not based on seeking your approval or validation or making sure that you're okay. And none of these things make you a bad person or anything like that, but it's just that there are choices that we have about how we can engage with others, engage with ourselves, respond, react. It all depends on these choices that we make. So I'm now going to use a little bit of spray, some aura mist. I love this necklace. And then we'll do a little bit of hands-on healing. So this is frankincense and wild orange. Essential oil in this aura mister. And I'm going to start above your head and just spray throughout your aura. It's very grounding, but it's also fresh, kind of flirty. And just spraying in the room, setting a tone here. My hands. Okay. Drawing the symbols in the palms of my hands. And I'm going to begin by placing my hands just outside of your hips here and really grounding in this sense of openness, helping you to feel safe enough to be vulnerable, safe enough to be generous. So we're really caring for ourselves here, prepping ourselves for this generosity. So just imagine, you can even sync it with your breath here, but imagine this beautiful, glimmering, warm light passing back and forth between my palms. My left hand is on your right hip and my right hand on your left hip. And this energy, this beautiful warm light, it might feel tingly, it might feel it's just buzzing, vibrating, just inviting a sense of aliveness into the bowl at the base of your torso. There's light passing back and forth between my palms. So you could imagine with your inhale that it moves into your right hip, and on your exhale it swings over into your left and back and forth like that. You inhale and your exhale and your inhale. I'm now going to place my hands on your sacral, just below your belly button, placing my palms here. And again, warm, glimmering light entering in through this space in your low belly, this space of creativity and emotional availability. There is so much that we swallow, that we cast aside, so many emotions which can really teach us a lot that we suppress. And I believe that when we don't process our emotions, they will always come up. And it might be in different ways. But I think not only is it more efficient to process our emotions, I actually think that it is the only way that these emotions will move through, move on. And that if we suppress our anger, it will, I think, inevitably resurface. Maybe as anger, maybe as something else. If we suppress our grief, it will resurface, I believe. Maybe as anger. Maybe as irritability. Maybe as anxiety. So here in this space, really inviting in a gentleness and holding space for these emotions. Now placing my hands on your solar plexus. In the space just above your belly button. And this warm glimmering light enters in through this space above the navel, and it fills you up with confidence an inherent sense of self-worth, a deep belief in yourself. It unlocks keys to productivity, to joy. It's here in this very sunny space that we can start to connect with our authentic selves, whatever that means for you, with the one self. Now, hovering my hands outside of the heart. And if you're going to place your hands anywhere or send this warm light anywhere for this session, I think the heart space is the one place that we could really focus on solely. Really inviting space for openness, love, releasing of judgment. And that's a practice as well. Just having my hands outside of your heart center here. That's a practice. Releasing judgment is a practice. Connecting with the why, where this judgment is coming from, why we hold this judgment. So often, and maybe even always, judgment of others is just something unhealed within ourselves. And that's not to say that others aren't capable of doing things that are not okay or that are unacceptable, but especially the kind of fixated, obsessive judgment that we tend to engage in as a society, as a culture. A lot of this stems from kind of the shadowy sides of ourselves, things that we either don't accept about ourselves or things that we haven't healed about ourselves. Because it's okay to recognize when someone else is doing something that we don't approve of or that is hurting us. But then it's about what you do with that. Do I hold it and gossip behind their backs? Or do I move through it, feel the feelings? Maybe do something about it. Whether that's confronting the person, or if that's not available, then moving through those feelings, processing them, and choosing how to act differently ourselves. Whether that's setting firmer boundaries with that individual, or simply practicing release, surrender. Now I'm placing my hands just outside of your throat here. Not touching you, but just having my hands here. Speaking words of generosity. This can look like, complimenting someone who looks like they might be having a tough time. This can look like just letting someone know that you've been there, extending that empathy to somebody that you feel might need it. Someone trips and everybody, in front of a big group of people, and everyone's like, oh, are you okay? Okay. And then the person gets really embarrassed. I saw this recently. And maybe going up to that person and say, I tripped on that exact same spot. Don't feel bad. That we're all in this together. We're all just trying to figure it out. That I'm here, you're here. We're all just in it together. Okay. And a smile. How nice can it be, if these other things aren't available to you, just to smile, smiling at somebody. And if they're not able to receive it, I smiled at someone the other day in the grocery store and they were like, that's okay. That's what this is about. It's not about the expectation of reciprocity. It's not about the expectation of anything. This is just simply generosity of spirit for the sake of generosity, for the sake of honoring ourselves and our connections to other human beings on earth. How lucky are we that we are here? How lucky that we are sharing this beautiful earth together. And how can we honor that relationship that we have as two souls just mining our way through the depths? Maybe a smile. Maybe lending an ear. Perhaps sitting with someone holding their hand, just telling someone that you're here, holding their hand and saying, I'm here. I'm here. Connection. And now placing my hands on the very crown of your head. Just here. So if you want to invite in this warm glimmering light into your crown, you are divine. You are a being of divine light and love. You are divine. You are connected. You are expressive. You are loved. You are strong. You are emotionally available. You are safe. You are safe. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for subscribing. There are a lot of you are new here, and I'm not sure if you're staying to the end, but it's just such an honor to be able to connect with you, and you're also welcome here. It's lovely to expand this collective, and I'm incredibly humbled and honored that you've decided to spend some time with me today. So thank you, and thank you for subscribing. I see you and I thank you. That really means a lot. Helps me know that you like my content and want to keep watching it, and keep hanging out with me. So thank you. And I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day or night. Till we meet again. Be so well. Can you come up on the pillow? She just wants cuddles. Come on. For today's video, I just wanted to do a little chakra activation. And just doing a little bit of balancing and aligning It always happens when I'm trying to do it like a
Perspective. Maybe your perspective on things is a little clouded at the moment. I'm not sure if that resonates with you, but that's what I'm getting here.
But just sort of being aware of what is coming in so that we can be more prepared to make that decision. I love metallic sounds. There's like clicky clacky sounds.